Millville, Minnesota. It is sandy, it is treacherous, it is difficult, and it is a place filled with memories for at least two of us on the television program. It was here in 1983 that David Bailey wrapped up the 250 National Championship. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. This is David Bailey. I was there that day admiring his handiwork. But, hey, that's ancient history because in 1994, Mike LaRocco is the guy closing in on the championship. And my question to you, name me three guys who can beat LaRocco today.
Well, it's going to be, I think, pretty tough. This guy's been so fast all year long. And I think the only chance they have really is for him to get stuck in the back of the pack. And McGrath can get off to good starts. He's shown that, and I think that's what it's going to take for him. You know, he's coming off a moto victory, and possibly he can put together another couple. And also John Dowd, he's had a week to get adjusted to that factory Yamaha ride. And Jeff Stanton, I think this track plays in his favor. It takes a lot of strength. There's not a lot of timing in Supercross out there, and he wants to win one more before he retires completely.
Well, of course, Dowd has moved to the factory Yamaha from the bike that Michael Craig vacated. Michael is now riding for Honda of Troy, and we'll have more on his exploits later in the program. Right now, we're going to take a look at the battleground on which this championship round will be fought.
Well, there's going to be a lot of hills here, a lot of trees and shade, a lot of humidity. I remember it being very hot here, and there's a couple of tough sections out there, a lot of sand in certain spots. Let's go to Art Ekman for one of those toughest spots on the racetrack.
Spring Creek, cut out of a hillside, presents the riders with all kinds of elevation changes. But the most demanding factor here is a very sandy and probably the most demanding whoop section in motocross.
That's the kind of a section where sometimes you can just fly through there, and you know, one time you'll make it through and you'll be like, oh wow, that wasn't so bad, and next time you find yourself in your head, so it's kind of tricky.
I used to ride in Florida for the winter, and they had a lot of sections like that, so you know, all you do is pick your front wheel up, and when it sets down, pick it up again.
Yeah, a lot of people go down back there, that's for sure. The whoops on press, they aren't so big, they build them up for the race, and I mean, to tell you the truth, with my short legs, I'm having a tough time back there. I'm kind of just timing them like Supercross and trying to just jump 3, 2, you know, whatever. But other guys approach it a little bit faster. They, you know, shift up a gear and hang off the back, which I think for me right now, the best thing would probably be just to make sure I stay on 2 wheels.
Many people feel the most critical time in this whoop section is when the rider has least control over the situation. That's at the start, when the entire pack is banded together, vying for position. Back to the booth.
Well, that start will be next on our motocross agenda here as we come back for the first moto from Spring Creek Motocross Park, Millville, Minnesota. AMA National Motocross action. Here is the man who would be champion, Mike LaRocco, currently champion of the 500 class, now defunct in AMA Motocross, trying to claim the 250 crown. Jeff Stanton, owner of 6 national titles in his career, headed for retirement. Here are your point standings. Dowd and McGrath should both be able to move into second and third spots today, ahead of Kudrowski, who is sidelined with injury. And the field come to the gate here for the first of 2 motos on a racetrack that requires a good bit of energy with all that sand, and the rush to the whoop-de-doos will be on momentarily. Field waiting for the drop of the gate. And we're underway. Pretty good start for Dowd as they head for turn 1. He's going to have the advantage. John Dowd lays that Yamaha in there on the inside of Mike LaRocco. McGrath, number 2, is right with them. So you've got 3 different brands out front as they head around the turn and look for that whoop-de-doo section for the first time. Big traffic jam behind them. How scary is it knowing you got to go through there with the traffic?
Well, you see how fast these guys are going. They're third gear wide open in a full slide. Here they come into the whoop section. That's the tricky part, because this is where guys get out of control. In the first lap, when everyone's bunched up like that, boy, you're really looking out for everybody else, not only what you're doing.
You see Jeremy, as he talked about, kind of going down through the whoops, and everybody else trying to skip the tops of them, but he managed to maintain his advantage. He is around Morocco and into second spot, so he's dropped Mike to third with Stanton fourth. A pretty good start for Jeff, but nobody can match John Dowd's speed here on lap 1. Again, motivation has a lot to do with it. Focus on the start. He came here to win on that factory Yamaha.
Well, like we said at the top of the show, he's had a week to adjust, and that bike is running really strong. It looks like he's definitely got the most horsepower, because that start is just a total drag race at the first corner. I think they're up into 4th gear there.
The Yamahas have been strong off the gate all year long. There's been a lot of talk about what makes that bike so quick. Of course, for Dowd, he's been riding Yamahas, but this is the new machine that Michael Craig rode all season long. And before the race, we asked him how it differs.
Yeah, the bike is definitely, it's really snappy compared to the bike I had before. The power is just, you know, it's a little bit different. It's just, what it is, it's just real quick. I mean, as soon as you hit the gas, the power is there. I mean, like, instantly, there's no, like, delayed time or drag time, whatever you want to call it. But
so it surprises you until you get really used to it.
Yeah, I'm still kind of getting used to it. I like it, though. I'm feeling pretty good on it. I just, actually, a lot of people have commented that my style's looking a little bit different on it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is that little burst of power, but I like it, though.
Well, everybody likes a lot more power. The main thing guys like about factory bikes is the paycheck that comes with riding them, and Dowd would like nothing more than to lock down a full factory deal for 1995 with some good performances. I'll tell you what, if he wins today, it'll get everybody's attention. But he's got pressure from number 2, Jeremy McGrath, and closing in on that lead duo, number 7, Mike LaRocca. We'll see a nice comparison of the brands here with a Yamaha, a Honda, and a Kawasaki running 1, 2, 3.
Well, he's got the fastest two guys, you know, from the gear. He's got the Supercross champion and what looks like it's going to be the 250 national champion breathing down his neck, and he seems to be holding his own. I mean, they're not pushing him too hard. He's riding his own race still at this point.
You see some of this big Minnesota crowd in the background. They really turn out the folks here for AMA National Championship action in Millville, Minnesota. And this is what AMA National Motocross is all about. 3 young, talented riders on 3 different brands of motorcycles. Dowd got a little sideways in the corner, recovered nicely, and held on to the lead.
Well, each time he makes a little mistake like that, these guys are just a little closer and a little closer. Now, I mean, they've really closed up the gap just in this last half a lap.
Through his privateer career, John Dowd's mechanic has been Brian Berry. He is part of the new deal with Team Yamaha, and he's with Art Ekman.
Brian, it's obvious that John is learning from week to week to harness that newfound power that he's got.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a little tough right now because he only rides the bike on Fridays on press day and Sundays at the races. So he's got to learn only 2 days a week, you know. But he's doing a great job with the amount of time he has.
He's got the best in the world right behind him right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a little nervous right now. I'll try to give him some signs and calm him down and maybe let them go by and follow him for a while and then maybe take a charge at the end.
All right, now, David, just out of curiosity, if you were John Dowd and your mechanic held out the sign that said, let those guys pass you, would you be inclined to do that?
No.
That's what I kind of figured.
No.
I don't think John Dowd would either.
No, it's an interesting strategy, though, and sometimes it works, but not when you got 2 guys like this, and they have proven to be faster in the rest of the season. If he was to let him by, I don't care how much he learns, the chances of him getting him back are pretty slim. So I think his best bet is just go like mad, ride his own race, and, you know, just try to counter their speed and try to just ride as fast as possible. And if they get by, they get by.
I'm not convinced at the moment that they aren't learning from him. I think John Dowd's got this place pretty well wired for the moment. He's able to pull a little bit of a gap on McGrath, who looks a bit sloppy on the landing off that jump. If anybody's being held up here, perhaps it is LaRocca. He has kind of laid back and not elected to make any kind of a move, but there you looked like he might have had a little more entry speed into that corner, but didn't have any place to use all that speed. In any case, it's a great 3-rider battle, probably the best position battle we've seen this year up front at an AMA National. This is good racing.
It's great racing, and it's difficult for McGrath right here because right there you see if he tries to go wide and take a different line, then LaRocca's able to. Oh, there it is. There it happens again. See. It's a really difficult place for McGrath to be. He's kind of between a rock and a hard place there. And if he follows Dowd, then LaRocca can choose a different line. If he tries a different line, LaRocca can sneak in there in the main groove and take it away. Here we'll get a chance to look at it. McGrath decides, well, let me follow him here. And Dowd holds him up a little bit. LaRocca rides right around the outside. So he's able to look at the whole situation and capitalize.
Pretty courageous move for LaRocca. He really belted it into that berm, but did so with the kind of confidence that has carried him to a runaway championship point lead. And McGrath drops back now to regroup, and LaRocca goes to work on the race-long leader, number 16, John Dowd. Looks up the inside, nothing there. Dowd keeps the door closed, but barely. And LaRocca continues to demonstrate the tremendous speed that we've seen all season, and that speed translates to pressure. When the guy can go just as fast as you everywhere and a little faster than you in a couple of places, he can put the hurt on you. You know he's back there.
Well, you start thinking about those couple of places quite a bit, you know, and then you start riding his race, and when you do that, you know, the guy can sense it, and he's usually able to make a pass.
Again, Dowd holds his own. LaRocco got alongside, but Dowd held his line and made sure LaRocco had no opportunity to pass. John Dowd is doing a terrific job here. We'll be back to see if he can keep LaRocco at bay. It was a three-man battle, pretty much a two-man dice at the moment. Dowd trying to hang on. LaRocco putting the pressure on, and Jeremy McGrath, for the moment, content to watch this unfold in front of him. Through the whoops they come. And LaRocco had shown a bit more speed than Dowd in that section on previous laps. That time Dowd got through there and actually opened up a bit of a gap. John Dowd has one national motocross victory to his credit, and I guess he would agree that it was, is fluke the right word? It was a day that it poured down rain in Sacramento, California. The racetrack was flooded, and about half the field failed to finish, but Dowd came home a winner.
Well, it was pretty much survival, Dave. I mean, there was rivers, actual rivers, deep running across the racetrack, and you know, as much of a fluke or whatever you want to call it, I mean, it's still motocross, and it just proves Dowd's ability to perform no matter what the conditions. I mean, he's not real pretty, doesn't have a lot of timing like McGrath, but he gets it done.
And he's pulling away from Mike LaRocco a little bit. It's all in the results. It's all in what you do with it. And at the moment, Dowd is doing very, very well with this new snappy, as he describes it, factory Yamaha. He's put about 3 bike lengths on LaRocco, who seems to have backed off for a moment to perhaps size this guy up one more time and say, oh, now, wait a minute. How exactly am I going to deal with this cat? Because he's actually going pretty fast.
Well, as long as he's got McGrath back there, you know, far enough back where he's not really pressuring him, he can take his time. I mean, they still have a little ways to go, and now Stanton's making a move, and you know, it looks to me like McGrath is just surrounded by 3 riders who aren't really known for their timing. You know, I mean, McGrath is a timing supercross rider, and this track really just requires a lot of strength and the ability to be able to sort of bulldog their way through. And these 3 guys are starting to make a move on McGrath.
Throughout his career, Jeff Stanton has been known as the guy who will muscle it through. Number 5 was always the tough guy. The rougher the racetrack, the better he likes it. And in fact, he likes this place. He gives a lot of credit to John Martin, who now owns Spring Creek. John, that name will be familiar. He's a former 6-day rider, and he bought the place a few years back, and it's never been in better shape than it is today.
Well, here they come through that big washboard section, and well, Dowd's still doing a pretty good job of holding them off. You know, I mean, that section, I'll tell you, I remember riding through there, and each lap, when you get close, you're like, okay, boy, here comes that section again. And once you get past it, it's like, okay, back to normal.
Ricky Johnson ever been through there faster than you?
Yeah, why'd you have to bring that up?
I didn't think you'd want to talk about that very much.
The last time I raced here in 1986, they had a lot of rain before the event, and that section was very, very deep. The whoops were really deep in the bottom. If you let the front wheel drop into any of them, you're pretty much crashed or over the bars. And Rick was just bulldogging it through there good, and he beat me that day.
I love LaRocco's description of how you deal with this. Just pick the front end up, and when it comes down, pick it up again. That's the direct approach to motocross. Don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. Gas it up and go fast. And LaRocco's been doing that all season long. He has dominated this campaign, but today he is certainly not dominated. That honor falls to John Dowd. LaRocco moves back within a bike length at the turn where he made the impressive pass on Jeremy McGrath earlier, and perhaps it's time to go on the attack again. The one thing LaRocco has working in his favor today is he doesn't have to pass the whole field to get up to the leaders, as so often happens with him.
Well, you know, that's true, but probably what's happening was he sort of it changed his frame of mind a little bit. He's like, okay, well, I got time, and he settled into a pace that wasn't quite as fast as what he's accustomed to. So now all of a sudden he's riding behind Dowd, who's pumped up on this new bike, and he's realizing he's got to pick up the pace and go quite a bit faster, and he hasn't been able to make that adjustment yet.
You see some of the last riders pulling out of the way as the leaders come freight training through. Jeremy McGrath unable to maintain the pace with this duo up front. What was a 3-man race, now a 2-man battle. Here's the gap back, and in fact, it's not McGrath now. It is Stanton who has moved into third. Stanton says, Jeremy, you're holding me up, buddy. I got to get going here. I'm going to go catch that Yamaha and that Kawasaki out front. Stanton, a highly motivated man today, as we wait and wonder if LaRocco has something for the Yamaha of John Dowd, who's looking for his second national championship victory. Dowd goes a little wide this time. LaRocco looking up the inside. Look out. door is open. LaRocco is through. A terrific pass, and I get the sense that maybe Dowd left just a little too much room up the inside. Oh, and now Dowd nearly goes out of control, comes over, pays our cameraman a call, takes a quick look back over his shoulder, and we'll take another look at the pass.
Well, it looks like LaRocco just carried his front wheel over a few of those and got some good momentum right through about the middle of that section. And I like the fact that he's been able to go faster there on the inside, because even if you just pull up even to the guy, you've made the pass once you get to the corner.
And about the point where Dowd needed to turn in, you saw him get the front wheel cocked just a little bit, and it wasn't a big mistake, but it was just enough that he wasn't able to turn in and block LaRocco. LaRocco was up alongside, and it was too late for Dowd to retaliate. We have a new leader at Spring Creek Motocross Park, Millville, Minnesota, Mike LaRocco on top. We'll be back. 2 championship motos at Millville, Minnesota, AMA National Championship action, and you're watching Jeff Stanton, who collected 3 Supercross and 3 outdoor national titles during his career. This will be his final season in the saddle. He'll become a consultant for Team Honda. And so from his perspective, we asked him what it's going to take to beat Mike LaRocco in '94.
It's going to take somebody that's really strong. You know, I've been able to ride with him for 20, 25 minutes. You know, he's always came from the back. He gets terrible starts. You know, I've been in his position. He's got a heck of a lot of confidence. He's riding good. He's strong. So it's going to take somebody that's equally to that right now. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, there's nobody here right now that's, you know, equal to him, including probably myself right now. You know, I've been there and have had the confidence, but right now I may not be fully up to strength. And, you know, I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not going to hide it from anybody. And right now, nobody's got the strength that he has. None of my teammates or nobody else in the Yamaha pits or Suzuki pits. So, you know, it's just going to hopefully take a good, consistent ride by myself, getting a good start, and, you know, not quitting, just going out there and being persistent time after time.
So far, nobody has put together the combination of elements described by Stanton. Well, that's not fair to say. I mean, LaRocco has been beaten this year. Brian Swink won a moto in the opening round of the year, and I recall one time when Mike LaRocco got such a bad start, he was only able to work his way back to 4th, but week in and week out, consistency has been the key. This guy consistently is faster than everybody else.
Well, he's faster than everybody everywhere on the racetrack, and, you know, like you said, the Stanton put it perfect. He gets horrible starts, and a guy that can get horrible starts and still be the title holder, possibly with a couple of events still remaining, yeah, I'd say he's pretty aggressive and has something worked out.
This is Larry Ward that we're watching. Larry is in 6th spot, and he really struggled in the early rounds of this season, but seems to have reached something of a turning point here at mid-year. 6th is actually a little lower than what he's been running the last couple of races, but he's on the charge, using those long legs to good advantage through the whoop-de-doo sections. Before the race, we talked to him, and he was pretty pumped up about the way things are going.
Well, the Supercross season started off really good. I had a good year indoor. Outdoor, it started off terrible for me. I was having a lot of trouble. I was fighting my motorcycle every weekend. I was back 15th, 16th place where I've never been before, and I was nervous. But in here the last 3 or 4 weekends, I've turned it around. I've been in the top 5 almost every moto. I've got a 2nd and a 3rd, so I'm definitely turning it around. And we have 4 events left. I hope to be up there on the podium a couple times and just finish out the year as strong as I can.
Ward having to catch up a little bit to get that top 5 finish here today. And speaking of catching up, number 2, Jeremy McGrath, has done just that. He has caught Jeff Stanton. We talked earlier about letting a guy get in front of you and then having the ability to come back around him. Stanton seems to be under a great deal of pressure here from McGrath.
Yeah, you know what? As he went over that jump back there, he looked down at his bike. I don't know if he's got a problem there or not, but Jeremy does appear to have sort of regrouped and found a little bit better pace and a second wind, and is, you know, taking the measure of Stanton. I don't think he's going to have any chance, though, to catch the front 2 guys. They're too far ahead.
Currently 3rd on the racetrack. Number 2, Jeremy McGrath, the reigning king of Supercross. A lot of rumors about how much money he wants to return to the red team in 1995. Art Ekman is with his mechanic, Skip Norfolk.
Skip, it appears that Jeremy's racing for a new contract.
Well, it is that time of year, and he's been making big improvements outdoors, and now he's out to prove a point. And he's made big improvements. Things are looking good this moto. We got 4 guys going real fast, and 30 minutes is a long time.
Jeremy going real fast, goes for a tearaway over the jump. You've been getting some questions about that.
Well, people are always, asking me, like, how do you do that in the air off of a jump? And actually, when you're in the air off a jump, you don't have to pick a line. You don't have to worry about the back end sliding. You don't have to worry about traction or anything other than just relaxing and reaching up and clearing your vision. It's the best time in the world to do it.
Less fuss when you're up there airborne. Nothing to do but enjoy the view. Jeremy McGrath's view right now, well, he doesn't see a whole lot in front of him, at least not in terms of attainable targets. He would like to pick up a couple more spots, but as you can see, there's nobody there. Whoa, here is Michael Craig, the Honda of Troy entry, and he's had a problem on the racetrack trying to get back up to speed. Craig making his second appearance for the Honda of Troy team as we check in briefly with the leader, Mike LaRocco. He is in full command of Moto 1 of 2. Want to get more on that Michael Craig story, the star of Team Yamaha who lost the ride a couple of events ago. The opportunity to replace the highly salaried Damon Bradshaw lasted but half a season. Craig is back in the privateer camp, but says it's not all bad.
Well, Phil and my mechanic Dean, they're really easy to work with, getting along with the whole team really good, and I feel like I'm adjusting to the team no problem at all. I know I went through the changes halfway through the year, wasn't too good at all, mostly mentally, and I think it looked kind of bad, but I'm going to do the best for Mike Craig, and I think this is the best move for me, and I feel really good on the bike right now.
And the team recognizes that preparing the motorcycle is just half the battle. The other half is getting the new guy up to speed.
Yeah, Phil just told me to go out and, just do the best job as Mike Craig can do. Don't go out and try to ride for nobody else. And I think that's going to be a big part of me. If I can go out and ride the way I want to ride. Last week I rode for him, I got a little tired, but I had the speed, and he told me, you got the speed, you got tired. Same thing Yamal told me. So I'm going to eventually just keep working harder and harder. If I don't go out the next race and not get tired, I think everybody out there gets tired. Just I got to mentally get tougher.
Identifying the problem is the first step towards solving it. Mike LaRocco has no such problem. He is the fastest guy in the field, and he's pulling away from the rest of the 250 title contenders as he has all year. The difference this time is he got a great start, and he demonstrated that he knows what to do with it. But there's another big moto to come here at Spring Creek Motocross Park. Stay with us. It is the final lap of Moto number 1 here at Spring Creek Motocross Park, Millville, Minnesota. Mike LaRocco on the Kawasaki out of South Bend, Indiana. Dominating again here, collecting maximum points toward the championship. This is the 9th of 12 races, and he's got to start thinking with his teammate Mike Kudrowski on the sidelines about how soon he can clinch this thing, mathematically eliminate these guys.
Right. Well, each time that he has to go out here and go through the motions, this probably right here, it's nice for him to win, but it's fairly boring, I would imagine, after a while. And just to eliminate the possibility of something weird happening and getting hurt, he probably wants to put this behind him and just get it over with and finally be the champion.
He has certainly provided himself lots of challenges in coming from the back to most of his wins this year, but that one was comparatively easy. Dowd held on for a solid second. McGrath, Stanton, and Ward rounding out your top 5. There's the rest of the top 10 as we go trackside to Art Ekman, who's with the Moto winner.
Well, Mike, with the new goatee, you might have a new competitor on the scene here. John held you back for quite a while.
Yeah, John rode a good race. He got out early and was running a good pace. I myself was just watching him. I really didn't want to do anything stupid, and he was running some good lines, and we were staying up front, so I just waited to make my move.
And the move you made?
I went faster through the whoops than him, most of the race. I kind of just held back a little, and when I decided he was getting tired enough not to fight, I made the move, and, from there I rode in.
Just how bad do you want a double win here today?
How bad? It doesn't do me any good to get second, and, I'd be mad if I did.
Yes, the attitude of a champion to be. Actually, he's already champion in 500, soon to be in 250. Number 16, John Dowd, the runner-up, is with Art Ekman.
John, this moto had to give you confidence with the way you held them off for quite a long time, despite the fact we probably thought you had a few butterflies with those guys on your back.
Yeah, in the beginning there, when I got the hole shot, I was a little bit nervous, and I don't know, maybe 3-4 laps or something. I could feel I was riding like tense and stuff, and I just kept trying to tell myself to breathe and just relax and stuff, But at the same time, I had these guys breathing down my back, so it was kind of tough.
Well, you reacted beautifully with the new bike.
Yeah, I love this thing. That whole shot, that was like beautiful. The bike just took right off. And
And Dowd with a smile on his face will be back in Moto number 2 to take LaRocco on again. We'll be back at Spring Creek right after this. Moto of round 9 of the AMA National Motocross Championship Series. Nice and cool and a bit overcast here in Minnesota. Great day for racing as the gate drops and the charge is on for turn 1. And here comes that Yamaha again. Number 16, John Dowd, grabs another hole shot, tangle in the back. Oh, there's number 7, Mike LaRocco, tangled up in the first turn. Well, he's going to feel at home back there. There were about 3 guys behind him, which would make him 37 going to turn 2 as John Dowd leads it up front. Number 10, Brian Swink, jumps into the number 2 position on the Suzuki. The best shot he's had at winning one of these things since the season opener. Kyle Lewis is number 53 in third, challenged by Jeff Stanton up the inside, and Stanton will take over third spot. Another great opportunity for John Dowd with LaRocco stuck in the back.
Well, I've mentioned before, the only way anybody's going to beat LaRocco is if they get off to a great start and he gets a terrible one, and there's exactly what, I mean, the stage is set now. Swink, couple of big swaps there. Swink is very fast in the first couple of laps of the race, and sometimes he carries that through to the finish as he did at Gainesville, but if Dowd can hold him off, I think he'll act as a pretty good buffer for the rest of those guys. Swink rides a wide bike.
LaRocco is making an amazing charge through the traffic. Let's see if we can pick up here. That would be, I think, 14th, 15th, maybe 16th spot. We got just a glimpse of number 7, and he has annihilated half of this field in a little more than half a lap. This is the kind of patented charge for which Mike LaRocco has become known. So often he's had to come from the back. Here he's alongside the privateer Kawasaki of Buddy Antunez. He'll pick him off with ease. Jeff Matasevich is next in line. Boy, he's blasting the burn.
Well, you know, as we watch him, I mean, watch how well he works on these guys. He's inside, he's outside, he plans his moves. He doesn't follow these guys very much. We'll see if he can, what he can do here with Matasevich. He's up the outside. He squares it, cuts across the inside. I mean, he just creates opportunities like that everywhere he goes. He's so clever at working through the pack, and, you know, with the terrible starts he gets a lot of practice.
Here's the second and third place battle. The 2 Michiganders, Brian Swink and Jeff Stanton. Both these guys like the sand, perhaps for different reasons. Swink spends a lot of time racing in Florida and has become very accustomed to the sandy soil down there. Stanton likes the sandy tracks because they require a lot of strength, and that's always been his forte. He is alongside Swink for second spot and will take over that position. Jeff Stanton's got a good ride going here as he's headed for the front in search of John Dowd. Let's go to Art with Swink's mechanic.
Brian was as quick as anybody on this track in practice. He likes the sand.
Yeah, his home track is sand, so he's right at home in it.
You feel confident about his position right now?
He's having a problem with some arm pump these last few races, and he's trying to overcome that. Other than that, his speed's just fine.
So you're really not expecting much, huh?
Just hoping a top 5 finish.
For the moment, Swink has a podium finish. Behind him, there's a great battle raging for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Number 34 is Jimmy Button. He is 4th. And side by side for 5th, number 2, Jeremy McGrath, making the pass on number 11, Larry Ward. And in this trio, it appears that McGrath is the man on the move.
McGrath looks really strong right here. He made a nice move on Larry Ward and accelerated up the hill. I mean, he just looks really good. I can tell a difference between him and, Brooks is down.
Larry Brooks hits the dirt, but jumps right back on it, facing the wrong way on the racetrack. First priority is get the thing running again. He appears to be okay and gets back into the fray. Larry Brooks tumbling as the teammates hook up in a battle. Swink, number 10, now under pressure from his long, tall teammate Jimmy Button, number 34. But they're both getting some heat from number 2, Jeremy McGrath. McGrath's going to try to get them both at once. No, I don't think so. But he's got Button, and he's working on Swink. Boy, that was a nice pass.
Yeah, that was. Boy, he almost got them both right there in one swoop. And, you know, what I was about to say about McGrath is you can tell in his body positioning and the way he kind of puts a lot of body English into the way he gasses it. Even if it's just a straightaway and it doesn't require a lot of body English, he still puts a lot into it. And that's sort of the aggressive posture, I guess it is, that he uses when he's on the move. And right now he looks really good.
You mentioned earlier that Swink rides a wide bike. Swink knows McGrath is there, and there's not a great deal of love lost between these two. They were champions of their respective divisions in 125 Supercross. McGrath in the west and Swink in the east, and they were expected to be stars together when they moved up to 250. What happened was Jeremy stole the limelight, and Swink has been stuck in the shadows of Jeremy McGrath ever since. I guarantee you he'd like to show that he's faster than Jeremy here today. Takes a big wide line and holds on to that spot. McGrath through the whoop-de-doos trying to do something with him.
Well, you know, as you saw, well, he's made the pass, no doubt, but as Swink went into that left-hand corner, man, he just trail rode in there. He rode really slow, as if to kind of wonder what McGrath's going to do, maybe stop in the corner and keep him from being able to square him off, but it was a bad move.
Look what happens here in the whoops, though. Swink comes right back, and Jeremy, using that timing technique he talked about before, actually riding down through a couple of the whoops, goes a little slower through there and gives the spot back.
Yeah, well, Swink he rides with a lot more strength and, I don't know, just grit, and McGrath is able to take that line and use that technique lap after lap after lap, and I guess he just feels more comfortable doing that. But these guys are having a great battle right now.
Yeah, they really are. When you get these two together side by side for this long, you kind of wait for the sparks to start to fly. Swink hanging on as McGrath makes attack after attack, pulls by again, and regains that spot, looks back over his shoulder as if to say, hey, I can do this anytime I want, and then roosts away from Swink, and that looks like that might be the pass he'll make stick.
Yeah, it seems like he's already pulled away a little bit. Swink made just a little bit of bobble right there coming out of that berm, and now he's got company. He's got a couple of guys breathing down his neck, and possibly he'll start riding a little bit more defensive, and that'll allow McGrath to get away.
McGrath into third, has come through a bunch of traffic, but look who's included in that group closing up on third place. Number 7, Mike LaRocco, came from 37th at the end of the first lap. Another amazing charge. Round 9 of the AMA National Motocross Championship, and here comes Mike LaRocco, number 7. After the bad start, he has caught Brian Swink, and I got a feeling this isn't going to take long. Swink moves over and leaves him a half-mile of racetrack to run right through.
Well, Swink has taken that line for the whole race, and he's been passed there 3 times, first by Stan and then McGrath, and does it again. He didn't learn his lesson.
Number 34 behind him, Jimmy Button, gets real sideways, about swapped right off the whoops and into the fence, but manages to gather things back up. McGrath is now third, and that makes LaRocco fourth. Take another look at the pass.
Well, you see Swink heading for that outside line. I mean, what's he expect is going to happen? You know, I don't understand why he would do that 3 times in a row and let guys by each time. Possibly he just feels the pressure of LaRocco, and probably not a whole lot he can do to hold him off anyway, so why not just take a line he's comfortable in?
LaRocco wastes no time reeling in McGrath. He wants to go all the way to the front. Oh, he's fast through this section. He's going to ride right by Jeremy McGrath. Again, Jeremy up and down through those whoops, and LaRocco just skipping across the top of him, is into the top 3. A terrific run today. You draw the comparison between yourself and Rick Johnson back a few years ago.
Well, I look at LaRocco riding, and I've already alluded to him as being a lot like Rick Johnson as far as his aggression, the way he looks right through there, coming up the hill, the way he hunches and holds his head and shoulders. And you know, I ride a lot more like, or rode a lot more like what I see McGrath doing. A lot more timing and finesse, and without the ability to really hang it out. And that's the thing that he's lacking. In order for him to beat LaRocco, he's going to have to put a lot more speed into that finesse, or else start riding a little bit more wild.
Seeing the first 4 go through. There's Button. He's 5th. Swink is 6th, and now under pressure from number 11, Larry Ward. These two have tangled in Supercross this year. Swink has made a couple of enemies out there on the racetrack, and I guarantee you there's nobody that would like to get around him more right now than Larry Ward. He mentioned in the first moto that he's having a pretty good season. Top 5s are his goal, and he needs one more spot, and he'll take it with ease as he dives up the inside, has the inside line covered. Well, Swink will retaliate on the outside. Now Ward makes the pass stick, and he's inside the top 5.
Oh, look at Swink right there. Just sort of figured, oh boy, I got to regroup now. He kind of just trail rode up through that straightaway once he's been passed by everybody now, so not a lot of motivation there.
He's gone the wrong way for sure. Just couldn't manage to sustain the speed here today. He got out second, couldn't hang on to it. Jeff Stanton will be next to come under attack from Mike LaRocco. And I guess if we think back to that pre-race soundbite about what it's going to take to beat LaRocco, Stanton pretty well conceded going in that he didn't have the speed for the length of the moto to beat LaRocco. We're getting down to the late laps here, and LaRocco has had to come from 37th to get where he is. Stanton's had pretty much a cruise all day, so I suppose this is pretty much inevitable, isn't it?
Well, I think so. I mean, you know, Stanton is, he's got the ability to ride the same way as LaRocco with just a lot of strength and being able to muscle his way through whatever line he ends up in, but he doesn't seem to display the confidence that he once had about being able to do that for the whole race and, you know, at that top level of speed that LaRocco's been able to run.
It's hard to imagine the difference that a couple of tenths, a half a second a lap can make, but you really do move into a whole other realm. The racetrack just gets very, very busy when you start running the kind of lap times that Mike LaRocco runs, and he just blitzes by Stanton, Jeff. Well, Jeff will come back along the outside, but that's kind of a half-hearted effort just to let Mike know that, yeah, there was a day when I could have come back around you and we could have had a pretty good race out of this, but those days are gone.
Yeah, he rode right down the hill on the outside. He didn't protect the inside very well, and possibly he just felt the inevitable coming and just let it happen.
I'll tell you what, top three in this moto is still going to make a good overall finish for Jeff Stanton if he can hang on to it, but this guy may not be finished yet. Continuing to cut some terrific lap times. Jeremy McGrath has come from a fair ways back in the pack and may play a role in this before it's all over. I'm not sure he's going to be able to catch anybody in the top three. The mystery man in all this is your leader. We haven't seen much of John Dowd because he's been on cruise control out front all the way. McGrath is looking very good right now.
Yeah, he looks really good. It's you know, I think he had an opportunity to hook up with LaRocco and probably charge through the pack, and he wasn't able to do that, so he's definitely not running the pace fast enough to win this thing. But, you know, he's riding pretty good. Dowd, on the other hand, is riding a fast pace. He's had clean sailing since the start. You know, he hasn't had any real challenge, but I have a feeling that LaRocco's going to come up and challenge him and possibly get him. See if he can. Stay with us.
So to where Jimmy Button, the long, tall, lanky motocrosser on the Suzuki out of Corning, New York, is all by himself now, having been involved in a bit of a melee earlier for position. He was 8th in the first moto, running 5th here, and trying to consolidate a top 5 overall finish for the day. Not a bad day for Jimmy and Team Suzuki. Meanwhile, up front, John Dowd continues to lead. The question is whether he can hold off the charge of Mike LaRocco, who is coming on like Buster's gang. This is going to get pretty close, I think.
Yeah, I think you can hear the cheers of the crowd, the anticipation of just what's going to happen, and if Dowd can, in fact, hold him off. I don't know. It's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
You can see the interval there, the gap, as Dowd tries to maintain the advantage, but LaRocco definitely coming on strong. Meanwhile, Jeremy McGrath has caught and passed his teammate Jeff Stanton and taken over 3rd. He's also cutting some quick laps here late in the moto. Now, missing from the picture as we watch the leaders come through traffic, Mike Kudrowski, who broke his finger at Unadilla. It dropped him out of contention for the championship. Now the talk is of when he will return and whether he'll be able to ride Motocross the Nations. Here's Art.
Dave, it's still up in the air when Mike Kudrowski will rejoin the circuit. I know his team manager, Roy Turner, hopes that he'll wait another week after Washougal.
Basically, he's targeting to come back at Washougal. He'd like to come back at Washougal. I think it's probably still a little bit early. I think Binghamton's a more realistic target for him. And if he can be ready at Binghamton or Delmont, either one of our last 2 national rounds, I think it's the most practical to give him enough time to be 100% healed up. I think if he comes back at Washougal, we may be dealing with a problem. It's a little bit early, and if the injury should become worse or, you know, cause any complications, then the effort, him as part of the Motocross the Nations team, I think will be compromised. And this late of a date, it's going to be difficult to put anybody else in his place. So right now, that's probably our most important target, is to have him ready for Motocross the Nations. And that's really about it for this year. So probably Delmont or Binghamton, one of those 2 rounds, he'll be back.
All right, that's the update on Kudrowski, and the update on the battle for the lead is John Dowd holding on, Mike LaRocco coming fast, and I expect John feeling a little heat here.
Oh, he's got to be so nervous. This is, yeah, it's a terrible feeling when I mean, he knows if he can hold him off, he's going to win his, his 2nd national, and boy, I mean, LaRocco's caught him so quick. I don't think Dowd realizes how far he's come, but he's definitely come from off the pace and caught him quick, and he feels probably very threatened at this point.
We'll be back to see who's going to hold on and win the Spring Creek National right after this. Spring Creek, the leader, number 16 on the Yamaha, John Dowd, takes the white flag, maybe, just maybe, 5 yards behind the man who was 37th going into the second turn, Mike LaRocco, the runaway championship point leader. The question is simple: will LaRocco catch him?
Well, he's pretty much caught him, David. It's just a matter at this point. Whoever wins this moto wins the overall. And, boy, you know, Dowd has got to be so nervous right now. And LaRocco has caught him, and he's obviously faster. But, you know, it looks to me like Dowd isn't really... you know what I like here is he's protected that inside line. He's riding smart. And it doesn't look like LaRocco's been able to really close right in, like he's actually, you know, poised and ready to make a move. Dowd is actually holding his own still.
I think LaRocco may have actually lost ground through the whoop section that time. He talks about picking up the front wheel. He had it way up in the air, had the thing straight up and down for a moment, and indeed, it looks like Dowd is pulling away. He has responded to the charge from LaRocco. You made a good point just before the commercial break. John Dowd doesn't know that Mike LaRocco has come from 37th, although he might be smart enough to assume that, since LaRocco does that about 9 times out of 10. The more important point, I think, is when LaRocco got there, Dowd had something for him. He upped the pace.
Well, you know, in the first moto, the same situation happened, but it was about halfway through the moto. Here, he's only got to do it one more lap. And if you can take the race in smaller increments like that, boy, this, you know, the challenge isn't nearly as overwhelming. And it looks to me like he's got a pretty good advantage here. Even if he makes a slight bobble, I don't think that LaRocco is going to be able to capitalize.
Well, the crowd's certainly getting into it. Hard to tell whether they're cheering louder for John Dowd, the leader, or Mike LaRocco, the pursuer. But believe me, these fans are getting their money's worth here today. John Dowd looking for his second national victory of his career. The first came at Hangtown in 1991 in the mud. And the second one will come right here if he can just keep LaRocco at bay for a couple of corners. He's got it made. He's going to win this thing by upping the pace when it mattered most. In the last quarter of a lap, John Dowd, hands and feet in the air, has won it. Big Brian Barry is there with the bear hug. The Team Yamaha, Boyce and Penske crew, all there celebrating, and the crowd on their feet for John Dowd. Boy, he is pumped. It's going to be fun hearing from him in just a moment. To review the official results, it's Dowd over LaRocco in the second moto. McGrath, Stanton, and Button, your top 5. Ward, Dubach, Swink, Lewis, and Neese, the top 10. And here's Art Ekman with the winner, John Dowd.
Oh, man.
Well, now's not the time to be speechless, John. You realize.
Oh, no, I'm so happy. I didn't think it could be done. I guess, I don't know, did Mike get a bad start or something?
Mike got a bad start, but there were a lot of fast runners in between, but he closed the gap pretty fast on you.
Yeah, I guess that was the break I needed, I guess. You know, I got another good start, and I mean, the bike is running excellent. Everything is working great today, and I don't know, I was just kind of riding around trying not to think about the guys behind me, and I seen him coming at the end, though. I mean, I was like, oh, no, and I was pushing my hardest.
You think the confidence of the first moto and the confidence that's been built up each week, though, helped you when you had to call for it in the last lap?
Well, yeah, I think so, because I was kind of, I mean, he passed me. I bobbled in the first moto there. You know, I made a little mistake in the back section, and he got by me. I mean, I don't know if he would have got by me or not, but I was kind of sitting back in my truck thinking, man, if I didn't make that mistake, I wonder what would have happened. So I was really just trying to concentrate real hard on trying to stay smooth and not make that mistake. So I don't know, I guess it worked out.
Just what does it mean to you right now, and Yamaha, of course, with the situation?
Oh, I'm so happy. I hope them guys are happy. I mean, this is the best day of my life right here. I mean, I won a national back in '91 there, but that was in the mud and everything, and a lot of people have things. Sometimes they say, well, yeah, because of the mud, you know, and this and that. So I don't think anyone can say anything today, and it was a beautiful day. The track was great, and I did it. I'm so happy.
Hard not to be happy for him. He says it's the happiest day of his life as he beats Mike LaRocco and answers the question that Art Ekman raised earlier. Who can beat Mike LaRocco in 1994? Let's hear from Mike about that late race charge.
Yeah, I got tangled up in the first turn after I had some problems off the gate, and I knew I wasn't gonna, I just had to give it all I got or all I had and try and go for the win, and I just came up a little short.
Well, to John Dowd's credit, too, he took advantage of the opportunity for his first win this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, he got the whole shot, and there wasn't really anybody to slow him down, so he got out and, rode a comfortable pace and, made me work hard to catch him.
Of the riders you had to go through, what was the toughest logistical point?
I think by the time I got to John, I was, I didn't have full energy like I had when I went through the pack, and at that time it was either I got by right away or it'd have been tough. I started making some mistakes in the last few laps, and that cost me. So, like I said, when I got there, it was a little low on fuel.
There's a tired boy right there. You can see the fatigue in Mike LaRocco's face. He moves a step closer to the championship. Dowd and McGrath indeed get around Kudrowski. Your final thoughts, David Bailey.
Well, first of all, I think this is the biggest crowd you'll ever see at a trophy presentation. You just got a little shot of it there. These people are really appreciative, and I think, these guys gave him a great battle today, all the way down to the last turn. And, I would have thought McGrath or Stan or somebody like that would have come out and possibly taken the advantage of LaRocco's mishap, but for Dowd to do it and come right through everybody and win, I'm really happy for him, and it's a great performance, and Yamaha's got to be happy with their choice.